Hello, everybody. Welcome to the typographic citadel, Typeburg. All right, today we're gonna learn how to create glyph or how to create your own type. But before, we need to learn the basic tools for that. We're gonna have a series of mini tutorials in our page, Typeburg, that you can find very, very useful. Okay, my name is Jorge Montero, and I'm gonna be your instructor, and let's have fun. All right, let's start immediately. You will see it's so easy that you're gonna enjoy it and you won't be able to stop creating your own letters for headers, for logos, for posters, etc. So easy, and let's start and let's create a community that we help each other. Okay, so let me share. By the way, we don't have a super production of video production with music, etc. Who cares? What is important is the content, right? Haha. Okay, let's start. Well, we're gonna use Adobe Illustrator as a basic tool for our work. The first thing that you need to do is creating a new file, very easy. To create a new file, let me set the time. Okay, to create a new file, you just click Command N, which is the universal shortcut. That's super easy. And let's create a format of 16 inches by 8.5, right? Okay, after doing that, the first thing that you need to do is going to the top corner and you will see a microwave symbol. Is that a microwave, professor? By the way, that's Alfred Newman, an imaginary student that asks questions that you don't ask. Very helpful. Okay, no, Alfred, this is not a microwave. Of course, is this just an analogy? This is a workspaces. By default, you have already set some workspaces. So workspaces is the same like when you are working on a table, you have your tools, etc., right? Okay, so by default, you're gonna have essentials. Forget that. I don't know why that exists because you don't have any button, any shortcut anywhere. So when you go to essentials classic, that is the one. You see, depending on the tool that you are selecting, this is the toolbox. These are windows. Windows are in the window menu, of course. And also you can customize your workspace. For example, I like properties because property is a window that have a lot of things that we use all the time. But if you want to have, for example, I don't know, character window, etc., whatever window you want, you go to the window and you open that. For example, let's say type. When you go to type, here you have character window. But by the way, you need to learn the shortcut. So I never do that. It's just Command T. Instead of going to the menu, etc., take the whole life, you just click Command T, right? Okay, so you can customize your workspace. Okay, but I don't want to go so deeply into that because I hope that most people who enter to these courses or mini tutorials, these are not courses, they're mini tutorials. They're like 10 minutes, maybe less. You already know the basic of Illustrator. Okay, so Illustrator is the champion so far to today is 2025, the champion of vector graphic. Okay, so I'm gonna use the tools that are universal that you can use in any other kind of vector software, and also that doesn't matter. Like in 10 years in the future, we're gonna use the same kind of basic tools. All right. Okay, so let's start by saying that when you click on the toolbox, when you see some tool that have a little triangle, that means that you have other members of that group, right? By the way, there's a super cool shortcut that when you hold Alt or Option and you go to the next, by making a click on the mouse, see, next. Okay, all right. So let's start by creating a single rectangle. The rectangle tool or the marquee is M as in marquee, right? So let's make a rectangle like this. Okay, here you will see that you have white fill and black stroke. We don't need fill. So we're gonna create a very cool letter form super easy. You will see so easy. Okay, see, you can go here on the bottom of the toolbox and selecting that field. This is field and this is stroke. And you click on this little icon, is a small white square with a diagonal red line. Okay, yes, or here is easier, right? Okay, so I don't have field. Here also, see what I told you, properties have everything. I don't need this. So properties tell you everything that you have, that you need to know when you have something selected. In this case, I have that rectangle. I'm gonna make a little thicker. Okay, let's make it a little thicker. Also, let's make a little smaller. If you hold shift, you keep the proportion. By the way, you can see that when I make it larger or smaller, it keeps the same proportional thickness. But because I have that set up, see here, when you double click on the scale is S. See, I have this scale corners and scale stroke proportionally. Okay, if I don't have that, see what happened? When I make it smaller, it will keep the same thickness that you are seeing now. See, and it will be too thick when it's small, see? Or too thin when it's larger, like this. Okay, so that's why in this case, I need that. So double click on scale, and that's it, right? Okay, so let's make this a little smaller and a little thicker. Boom, boom. For example, 7 points, and this is 1.5 inch. Let's make a 1.5 inch. Enter. Okay, that's it. Well, maybe a little wider. Let's say wider 0.5. Okay, something like that. All right, so that's gonna be what I call my matrix. See, when you have a shape that is empty, so it doesn't have fill, you will see a little circle or a little dot. It's a sort of handle to move a shape that is hollow or empty, right? Okay, but we're gonna make it rounded. See, this is what is called widget, corner or round widget. See, that make something rounded. Very cool, huh? Like that. Okay, so this is my matrix. And then I'm gonna start making a lowercase a, for example. I'm gonna drag it holding Option and Shift, like that. Okay, and then I'm gonna hold it by this little spot and Shift. So holding Option and holding Shift, you make a duplicate, like this, see? Okay, and then C, as in Caroline, is the scissors. We're gonna need that all the time. So far we are using the black arrow, which is the selecting tool, the one that you use to select something and to move it. The most that you can do with the black arrow in terms of changing the shape is make it shorter, taller, or you can make it wider, narrower, etc. Right? You can rotate it too, but I always use R, which is rotation. The white arrow, A, see, to get the black arrow is V, as in victory. And to get the white arrow is A, as in apple, like that. Okay, why the white arrow? Is to select anchor points and to change the shapes. Okay, all right. So far, what I did was just creating a duplicate of my matrix by holding Alt and Shift to keep it. Let me do it again. See? Drag it, holding Alt or Option and Shift to keep it aligned. See? This is what Shift does. See? Shift does that. Okay, now holding Option, gonna drag it up and also holding Shift. Then C, as in Caroline, is the scissors. So you cut here, boom, and boom. Okay, and then A to get the white arrow to select that part and delete it. Like that. Okay, also gonna make the ends rounded. So I select all this stroke and here go to stroke, make a click, boom, and select cap rounded, like this. Okay, see you have a lowercase a. All right, this is super basic. Command R is the rulers, to see the rulers. Where as soon as you can, you need to set what is the baseline and what is the X height. So X height is the size of or the height of lower cases. All right. So now we have baseline and X height. But Professor, why it goes beyond the baseline? Because that's a great question, Alfred. When you have a rounder shape, they go a little beyond the imaginary line, in this case, the baseline and the X height. Okay, see, immediately you have DNA to the whole set of the character of the universal concept that most people in the Western world, we understand and we know as letter. I have DNA to create my E. See, I just drag it, R rotation, hold shift to go 45 degree, 45 degree, 45 degree. See, like this. Boom. Okay. But now we can make it a little different. So for example, here you have in the lowercase a, this is two stories, lowercase a, because I have like two sections. So for example, something like this would be sort of a one single story A. Well, in this case, it should be like this, right? Okay, but I'm creating a two-story lowercase a. All right. So the E, we can make a little different. For example, we can cut here C, scissor, boom, boom. Okay, and then A, you delete this part, double click, boom, boom. Okay, see, now you need to continue that. If you don't, if you like it, you can keep it like that. By the way, we are not repeating or recreating a classic letter form like Helvetica, Franklin Gothic. No, we are creating a sort of display typeface. Display typeface or display typefaces are the ones that you cannot use for paragraph because they are too weird, too flamboyant, too thick, etc. And then the rest of the typefaces called text typefaces, the ones that you use for paragraph, body copies, things like that. Okay, when you click P as in Peter, as in pen, you can click on the end of the stroke like this, and then you can continue. Are you gonna hold shift? Well, that could be a happy accident, by the way. See, something like that. Okay, but I'm gonna make it just simple like this. And just teaching you the basic, super basic tools. See, now you have your E, right? Okay, and then from here also, I'm gonna make this, also check it out. You can use the white arrow to select all these anchor points and I make it as tall as the rest of the letter. So this is my matrix. Okay, so this is now my matrix. Now I can create, for example, B, see P, and then using the smart guides is Command U. Smart guide, you see that little pink lines. So you click like that. See? Okay. By the way, this is not rounded, so you can select. Well, click here, remember, and make it rounded. But also you can use the eyedropper. Eyedropper also gets all the specification of the stroke. Okay, from here, you already have DNA to create your P, sorry, the pivot point. Okay, P, also Q, O, as in Orlando, is a reflecting tool, like this, see? Okay, also from here, you can have your B. O, it's because the pivot point. Okay, O, see, now you have a lot of letters. It's so easy, okay? All right. For example, letter S. You could say, well, letter S is really hard. No, it's not at all. And also, you can set another lines to get consistency. For example, lines like this. And from here, from the E, I can make my S. Maybe from another letter is easier. Okay, gonna make my S from E. Okay, so gonna cut it here. C, scissors, boom. I can delete that. I can cut it here. A to select this part, delete it. Okay. See, from here, I can create my S. So you select, yes, duplicate, R, rotation. Where's the baseline? Baseline. I don't know why I don't see the baseline. Okay, I don't know what happened with the baseline. There you go. I have my baseline. Okay, so from here, you can just move this up. Double click to isolate it. Ding, ding. Isolate it. And then you can move this point here down. No, sorry, this one. This one had to be up. Well, you can delete minus to delete points. Huh? Okay, you can move this a little up. Okay, and this one, you can move it down. Okay, see, you can select these 2 points, these 2 points with a long click, and you say aligned, like that. Okay, then you can do this, and then also join this point and this point, join, Command J. See, and then you just make this rounded. Well, only this one first, and this one. See, so easy, and then you can move this down. Okay, well, that's super basic. Now, thank you very much, and see you then in our channel. Bye.